Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of the Student Athlete Interview Initiative. My name is Emily Schmid. I'm here today with Megan McCormick. She was a GW women's soccer player who graduated in 2019 and is going into her second year getting her master's in healthcare administration at GW's Milken School of Public Health. How are you, Megan?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. So I was wondering, just to start, if you could tell us kind of why you decided to get your master's degree in healthcare administration. I knew like your undergraduate background was in organizational sciences, so kind of definitely like a good lead into that. So could you just say like why you got interested in that sort of degree and career path?
Yeah, so both my older sisters are a PA and a nurse, so on the clinical side of healthcare. And I thought for a really long time that that's what I wanted to do. And I've thought forever that I wanted to be a speech language pathologist. I took a couple classes at GW and I shadowed at a few different places. And it kind of just realized that it wasn't what I thought it was. And I was like, super upset, and I had been dead set on doing that for a really long time. But what I realized was that I really liked being in a large healthcare organization and in a large network, and that a lot of my skills would pair well with something in business or in management. So that kind of all happened in undergrad. And then while I was in undergrad, I started looking into a bunch of different grad programs and things that I could do with healthcare, more so on the business side. And that kind of led me to getting my MHA, Master's in Health Administration, and can honestly say it's been totally awesome. It's been such a great learning experience, and being able to continue my academic career at GW was really awesome.
That's awesome. So when you were deciding like you wanted to apply, did you have like conversations with anyone before like starting the formal application process that got you interested?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually had to write a paper, I think it was my sophomore year of college, about a my God, job, thank you, like career path job that I was interested in. And I found it wasn't like it said master's in health administration, but it was like a job that would lead to that, like a service administrator, something along those lines. And one of my roommates, who was also on the soccer team, told me to reach out to someone in the Milken School of Public Health, and he actually was a professor in GW's Master's in Health Administration. And I got to sit down and use him as a subject matter expert for my paper. So I got to talk to him all about his career before he came into academics and what he did as a health administrator and where he worked, if he worked in a physician group or in a large health network. And I kind of just realized in that moment that what he did was awesome, and my skill set fit perfectly into what he was doing as well. And he was really one of the big reasons why I chose to go into health administration, because he just put it out there so perfectly and kind of explained everything at the level that I needed it explained at. And was also, like I said, involved in GW's program and was super inviting and asked me to come and see a bunch of different things that they were involved in. So he was a really big reason why I looked into programs, and I talked to other people before I applied and kind of explained my situation.
Yeah, it's so great when you can talk to someone beforehand, whether it's like a job or a graduate school, just to get like a more informal overview of everything before going through all the nitty gritty. So I definitely think that's something that's really important.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're happy you did it. Um, so going from like, kind of like getting the idea of applying to actually applying, whether it's like writing an essay, I know you have to take the GRE, which sure isn't the most fun thing in the world. How did you kind of like either talk about or write about, or even if it was just like listing certain skills that you developed as a student athlete, were you able to like incorporate that into your application in any way?
Yeah, definitely. I think, at least in my perspective, I think a lot of times, I'm sorry, my cat is not cooperating.
You're good.
I think, at least in my perspective, a lot of times I think student athletes don't necessarily not have experience, but I think a lot of times the only time that you can have an internship is during the summer, whereas someone else who might not be in our shoes can have one all year and then go somewhere else for the summer and then go back to that same organization. And I think I was really nervous about not having experience. But what I learned from putting being a student athlete in my cover letter and on my resume was that the things that you learn from being a student athlete are things that will take someone, I don't even know how long in their career, to learn, like being a good teammate and learning how to be good with time management and leading other people, even if you're not necessarily in a leadership role, and kind of dealing with conflict. It's little things like that that you don't even realize that you're learning as a student athlete that you put in your resume or put on your cover letter, and it does set you apart from other people who have to learn that stuff within a workplace.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think really what I like how you said was it takes people so long to learn skills that we've been developing since the first time we stepped on a field. I think that's so true. And especially like teamwork and time management, I feel like are two that really like stand out to other people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too that it's so, like, you can tell that a team is always evolving. People leave every year, newcomers come in every year, and that's not necessarily the same in a workplace. And it kind of just shows how adaptable that you are. And I know in my situation, so at the beginning, when I first started interviewing with some other people for grad school and even internships, I would get nervous when they would ask me about a scenario, and like 3 or 4 times in a row, I would talk about soccer or my experience being a student athlete. But then I realized that if I had an internship and I had used my internship 4 different times in a setting and talked about the skills that I learned there, it would be the exact same thing. It's just because I didn't learn them in a work setting, I felt differently about them. But it's just as important learning them on the soccer field or in some other athletic setting.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's just such a valuable experience that is really comparable to people who have like big internships, during the whole year for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously you're approaching your second year, so you had a whole year in graduate school. Are there any particular skills you think like you noticed from day one or week one that you developed as an athlete that maybe you noticed others, it didn't come as naturally to them as it did to you?
Um, I mean, obvious one is teamwork. I think everyone likes to say that they're good at being on a team, but like I mentioned previously, your team is always evolving and your role within a team is always going to be different. One year you might be expected to play one position and then the next you're playing something different. And as a student athlete, you just kind of learn to roll with the punches. And so sometimes, you're working with a group of people and no one's really taking charge and you're like, okay, well, it's my turn. But then next week you might be doing something else and someone else is like, okay, why don't you do this, you do this. And you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm working in a team, I'm doing my part, I'm doing what's best for the team and what's going to be easiest for all of us. And you just kind of go with the flow. And I think that working with people and also just getting along with people of different personalities is super important. And you do that all the time when you're playing sports because, like I said, especially on playing soccer, you're with 30 other girls every day and learning how to talk to them, how to receive feedback. That's just stuff that's kind of invaluable that you learn from sports that I think some other people don't really have that much experience with.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So just to close things out, what's like the biggest piece of advice you'd give to a student athlete now who's looking to apply to graduate school soon, maybe is filling out applications or just kind of gaining interest in talking to people like you said?
I think definitely talk to as many people as you can. I think my situation was a little different because I did have my 5th year and I really wanted to stay at GW. Um, but even though I know it can be super awkward getting on the phone and talking to someone and that you have no idea who they are and you have to ask them questions about the culture of the cohort that you're going to be going into or the experiences outside of academics that you're going to get to have, those are super valuable questions. And sometimes looking at their website isn't going to ask that. And also when you get on the phone with someone or even talk to them face to face on Zoom, you leave a way bigger impression because you're taking that initiative and your name is going to be at the forefront of their mind. So, okay, maybe you're application might not be the strongest, but they're going to remember that you took the initiative and you made the effort to talk to them, to learn more about the program, to express why you were interested in the program. And then on top of that, you're going to have all this experience as a student athlete plus experience in other places. And I just think that is probably the most important thing I would tell people, is just kind of put yourself out there, no matter how awkward it can be, how uncomfortable it is to be on the phone with those people. They're gonna remember you. And I think that's super, super important.
Yeah, I could just completely agree. It's those like little, almost casual interactions you have that really end up going such a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And just, letting people know what you're interested in and what your goals are in the future, and they're going to remember you because you made that initiative.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Meg, for all your advice. I'm sure everyone really benefited from that, especially people who are looking to go to graduate school either now or some point in the future. If you have any questions, just reach out to our contact information and be on the lookout for more videos coming soon. So thanks, Meg.
Welcome. Bye, guys.